Good afternoon and welcome to one more webinar from Progress India. We do these webinars almost, the webinars on almost Thursdays, every Thursdays of the month, second, third, fourth Thursdays of the month. And we usually put up the schedule up front. So January and February schedule is already there. Just go to telerichelper.net and you will find the schedules. So today we're going to be looking at one of the interesting topics that I like, which is porting hybrid apps to native apps. So this is all about, introducing you to a new framework that we have called as NativeScript. And if you have been programming with, hybrid, we will be able to let you reuse your skills that you have learned building the hybrid apps like JavaScript, the CSS, and all those things. And we will give you a platform to go native using our, platform or technology as we call it, called NativeScript. So using NativeScript, you will be able to develop native apps. So you can port your native apps, one by one, take a look at it, and it is easier to port because most of the things are the same. The JavaScript, the CSS that you will have to do is going to be the same. It's just that the UI will needs to be rewritten, and then even the UI is going to be very simple. So let's get going. So my name is Lohit. I work as a technical evangelist with Progress in India. I'm also in Microsoft MVP. That's my official email ID, lohit.nagaraj@progress.com. So you can tweet to me at Kashyapa. So that's my Twitter handle, and that's my short URL if you want to know more about me. So enough about me. So what is hybrid mobile app, right? So that's probably what should be the starting point for everybody. And it's like, okay, what do you mean by hybrid mobile app, right? Well, hybrid mobile app, according to Apache Cordova, this is I like this architecture very well. So I just went to, Cordova's website and then Apache Cordova website, and then I looked at their introduction, and then they give you this architectural diagram. So take a look at this, what it says. So the Cordova application are hybrid mobile app or hybrid, applications are nothing but you write your views or you write your screens using HTML. Then you do all your programming or the logics in JavaScript. You style the screen using CSS. That's your application. And then who is rendering this on your devices? Well, there is an HTML rendering engine. It's called as WebView. Every platform on this world, meaning the Android, the iOS, the web, see the Windows, they have their own core rendering engines or core browsers. It's not browsers exactly, but every browser has its companion, which is the rendering engine, the HTML rendering engine. So on Android, it is going to be WebView, as they call it, and then in iOS, it is UI WebView, and on the Windows platform, it's going to be the Edge is going to be doing the rendering. So what we do as part of the hybrid mobile application is you bring in a core native component, which is the web view, and then you tell it to load an HTML, which is inside the package. It is there inside the application. There is an index.html. So you will say, hey, load this. So typically what happens with Cordova applications is you just start writing your HTML, JS, CSS. When you package it, the Cordova's build system will put that rendering engine for you, or the web view control for you. The web view control is a native control. It is not an HTML control. It is the native component that's available on different platforms, and Cordova does that magic during the build. So you happily start writing HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and when you say Cordova do the build, it will do this magic of packaging the web view and telling the web view that, hey, when the app is loaded, I want you to go and then render www/index.html. Usually you keep your assets in www folder and you start keeping your HTML, JavaScript, everything there. And also what Cordova does is, or the hybrid apps allow you to do is, you can go and then access the native capabilities of the device. For example, accelerometer or a camera or device information, contacts, you name it. So all those hardware access is possible because Cordova has what we call as native APIs. Basically, Cordova as the community or as the project has already written plugins which work very well with Cordova applications. So those plugins are nothing but they know what needs to be done when you say, hey, Cordova, give me camera. So on Android, it's going to be Android dot something dot something dot camera, right? And on iOS, it's going to be its own namespace. On Windows, it's its own namespace. But the API, the plugin API knows what needs to be done at that particular operating system. For you as a developer, you will just say, hey, I'm using a Cordova JavaScript API, and I will go and then ask the API that, I need a camera access, and that's the magic that Cordova does. But this gives you a predominantly a higher level architectural information of how a Cordova application or how a hybrid application is bundled, or how is it working, right? This is another interesting thing I found on the net. So there is a native container that's nothing but the web view. You have your application files, and there is a web view, there is a native UI, and you just bring it up, and then you use plugins to go and then access your camera, location, that's the GPS, contacts, calendar, tasks, settings, or whatever, the hardware thing. So this is the architecture of a hybrid mobile application. And what are some of the strengths for hybrid apps? Well, I've been a big proponent of hybrid apps. Not every time you need a native app, not every time you need a hybrid app. So that's the thumb rule that I've been following. And then there are certain things that you will check before to understand, should you go native, should you go hybrid, right? Some of the strengths for hybrid is single set of code, meaning you just have one project and then you just do different builds against that project, right? You need to develop, generate an APK, you need to generate a IPA file, you need to generate an Apex file, but your source code is only one, your project is only one. So because this is hybrid, meaning it is using HTML, JavaScript, CSS, you probably might already have the familiarity of web development skills, and that makes it easy for you to get going with hybrid. So since there is a familiarity of web development skills, there's a low barrier of entry for developers who are coming from the web world. So probably I'm a web dev. I'm doing HTML, JavaScript, CSS day in and day out, but I never ventured into mobile application development. But since this is Cordova and it lets me reuse my HTML, JavaScript, CSS skills, well, my barrier of entry is very, very low, and then minimum learning curve because, well, I already know all the HTML, JavaScript, CSS, right? And development time is reduced because of people who are coming into Cordova, they already know HTML, they already know JavaScript, so they get going immediately. There's minimal learning curve, so your development time is going to be kind of faster because you're not learning something new and you start working with it. But there are certain shortfalls to the hybrid mobile applications or the Cordova based application. The biggest one being the web view performance. Keep in mind, when you are writing your hybrid apps, it is HTML and at the end of the day. And who is going to render the HTML? Well, it has to be a rendering engine, HTML rendering engine, right? So all platforms do not provide the same consistent rendering engine. As I said, Android has WebView, iOS has UI WebView, and there's a lot of difference between how these two engines kind of render the HTML, right? So typically you will see a different set of performance metrics or performance factors that comes out as part of the different operating systems. That's because, yeah, they're not consistent. It's not just one rendering engine that is there in the operating system. So at the end of the day, you might have created a beautifully looking hybrid mobile app, but it all depends on the web view that is there on the device. Typically 2-year-old devices, they have very poor performant web views. So hybrid mobile apps probably, if you have too many scrollings, like a list view with a lot of items being there, well, it can't kind of provide you a good experience there. It's going to do a laggy movements, it will do a jerky movements, and people will tell you like, oh, this is kind of laggy, it's not fast enough. So that's because your code is actually running on a web, HTML rendering engine is rendering it, it's running on a web view. There is a rendering engine there, right? So basically what happens there is you are at the mercy of the web view, which is nothing but the mercy of Google or the mercy of iOS. If they don't make that web view performant, well, you will never be able to get a good performing hybrid mobile application. Also, the plugin availability and development, although the the ecosystem of hybrid or the Cordova is pretty great. If you go to Cordova plugin registry, you get a lot of plugins available for hybrid mobile apps. You name it, it probably might be there. But if it is not there, you're left on your own. You will have to write the plugin for yourself. That's the case for any operating system, mobile operating system. If it is not there, you will have to write it. So these are some of the things. For me, the biggest one is the web view performance. There are other what do you call alternative systems coming in. For example, there is a community-led project called as Crosswalk, and Crosswalk seems to use the concept of shadow DOM, and then it gives you a better performant DOM, better performance when you use Crosswalk instead of the regular web view or the rendering whatever view is there. But Crosswalk comes with its own baggage. That is, Crosswalk itself probably is a little heavy in terms of the size. So when you target Crosswalk, when you bring in Crosswalk into your application and then you try to build a hybrid mobile app, your app size may go a little higher. I don't worry about the app size anymore at all, because people download the applications on a Wi-Fi. Nobody does it on a 4G, right, or whatever, the 3G, 2G, whatever. I always come back to my home, get into my Wi-Fi, and then download, not on my 4Gs. So these are some of the strengths and shortfalls of a hybrid mobile application. And some of the examples of the showcases is I'm going to be basing today's hybrid mobile app on a framework called as Ionic. Ionic is a very, very, very popular hybrid mobile application framework. So these are some of the apps that they showcase. Swarkit, it's actually a kind of a personal exercise tracking kind of an app, which is done completely using Ionic, and it's very popular, it seems, on the Android side of the world. And what you're seeing here is, like, they don't look anything like a regular HTML thing. That's because Ionic as a framework provides you all these capabilities, like if you see, there is a tab bar in the first image, and there is a side dryer coming in. So all those things is provided by Ionic. So I'm going to be using that as a kind of a use case, and then show you how Ionic, you start working with Ionic, and then how you go native with NativeScript. So now let's take a look at what exactly do I mean by a native mobile app, right? So what is a native mobile app? Well, it's very simple to explain native mobile apps. Applications that are coded in a specific programming language. That's as simple as it can get. For example, at this point of time, there are three, well, people will argue that, okay, only the first two are the most popular ones, but I'm a Windows guy, so I like Windows 10 mobile, so I am on Windows 10 mobile. But probably you are on Android, you are on iOS. So if somebody comes to you and says this is a native Android application, or somebody says this is a native iOS application, they simply mean that the whole app has been coded using a single language. So for native Android, it is Java. So you need to know Java. So they provide all the programming logic is in Java. If you're building iOS native apps, well, that means that you have a Macintosh, you have used an editor called as Xcode, and then you have used a language which is Objective-C or Swift, and you have created the mobile application. If you're on Windows 10 or Windows 10 mobile, well, that means you have coded the whole app using C#. So that's the language that you use. So this is native mobile app programming, what you need to know. That's as simple as it can get. And there's no concept of web view or anything. You are now running on the metal, as we call it. We have this saying called as it runs on the metal. That means it is kind of run directly on the operating system. There is no concept of somebody called as a rendering engine that is reading your HTML, that is rendering it. Now you get everything natively. You need a button, that's a native button, that's a native Android button, or a native iOS button, or a native Windows 10 button. You need a list view, it's a native list view. So like that, everything is going to be native. That's why we say this runs on the metal, right? And it is going to be 100% performant compared to your hybrids, because, well, I'm running on the metal, right? So I get everything, whether it is a low performant device like 2-year-old device, or a brand new octa-core, dual-core, whatever cores that you have devices. Well, I'm going to be running on the operating system, so I get everything that I need from the operating system. I can go access an hardware because the programming language provides me access to those not the language, but the SDK that is there. So that will provide me the access to all these hardware capabilities. The SDK exposes that, all those things, right? So that's what native mobile apps will provide you. Some of the examples of native mobile apps, this I picked up from our NativeScript showcases, just to make sure that you understand at the end of the day when I show you what is NativeScript, how do you program with NativeScript. Well, this is the UI that you can build. This is actually out there in the what do you call the marketplace. You can actually take a look at it. So the first one is a weather recipe, second one is outbreak, third one is DioWitch or something. Dwitch is the app name. But these three are built using NativeScript, meaning there's no HTML being rendered, but rather these are native components being rendered. But you as a developer, we allow you to program in JavaScript, we allow you to program in XML. So that's what I'm going to showcase you today. So this is the showcase, what you can build using native. Just to give you a kind of a thumb rule that I follow or we follow here, when to go which platform, right? That's the important question that everybody looks for. Well, do I go hybrid? Do I go native app? Do I go web mobile, right? There are only three ways in which you can build a mobile application. First one being the native mobile apps. That's what I just told you, the programming languages like Java, C#, Objective-C. And there always been the web mobile app, meaning I'm going to build a web application, host it on a server. You will pick up your device, go to your open up your browser on your device, and then you will say www.telric.com or progress.com, whatever. So when you do that, you will get an application being rendered on your browser, but it's going to be styled to look good on your 4-inch screen or a 5-inch screen. So that's web mobile app that have been done from ages together, right? So only problem is, since this is running inside the browser, you cannot access any of the device capabilities. There's no hardware that you can go and then kind of access it, because the browsers, they go and then put a sandbox around your code and say like, no, you cannot go outside of the sandbox. Now coming to the native, well, yes, it's a single platform, meaning it can run only on its own platform. You cannot run everywhere. Whereas the web mobile, well, I can open up browser from any platform and then go to that, but only drawback is no device capability. Native apps, well, if I want to build a native mobile app, I will have to build specific code and it can run only on that specific operating system. I will get all the hardware capabilities that I want, no problem with that. Then came hybrid apps, where what we said was, okay, I want to use HTML, JavaScript, CSS, but I want to build a mobile application. So Cordova wraps the web view around your code, and the code runs inside the web view, which is nothing but your the browser rendering engine. And Cordova makes it possible for you to go and then get the hardware capabilities, right? So it's cross-platform, meaning you can package a code written in Cordova to Android or iPhone or Windows 10. You can do that. So access to native APIs, you can distribute it, it comes up, so you'll never see the browser, but rather there is a browser. There is no status bar, there is no whatever menu bars that are there. You don't see that because it's just the rendering engine rendering the application. Now what we did here at our company is we went ahead and then said, okay, why don't we give you the capability what you already have, reuse the capability that you have, that is your JavaScript knowledge, your CSS knowledge, but we're going to let you build a native mobile application. Probably you want to go native, so we will let you do that. So how? Well, NativeScript is nothing but it's a cross-platform. You can build for Android, you can build for iPhone, and you can program using JavaScript. As you see on the screen, it says direct access to native APIs, native rendering engine, and then if you can go and then do the distribution from the App Store. So what exactly is a NativeScript might be your next question. So NativeScript, to put simply, it's nothing but it's a framework, it's a runtime, it's a technology that's open source from Progress software. And what we allow you to do is, using NativeScript, you can build native iOS and Android mobile applications as of now. And by down the line, that is probably by end of 2017, same source code can be converted or can be built again for Windows 10 mobile. As of now, Windows 10 support is not there, only Android and iOS. So you can build native iOS, Android applications. You use JavaScript as the kind of a programming language or your business logic, and then CSS to style the components, and XML is the front end, or in Cordova you use HTML. And what we do here is we have our own XML syntax, so we will be able to give you the XML syntax to build it. And what's the best benefit is single code base. You don't need to have different code base for Android or iOS. It's just only one single code base, and then that's what you need. And then you need one team, one effort, and that's it. And you can go for Android and iOS. So that's in a nutshell what is NativeScript. So what we're going to do is we're going to start jumping into some of the demos. So here is NativeScript. You can go to nativescript.org if you want to quickly glance around what exactly is NativeScript. Do go ahead and then take a look at this website, nativescript.org. As I said, it is completely open source, $0. It's an open source framework for building truly native mobile apps with Angular, TypeScript, or JavaScript. So we let you reuse whatever you know. If you're coming from Angular framework, and especially Angular 2 is what we support in NativeScript, if you know Angular 2, you know NativeScript. You can build native mobile apps with Angular 2. I like personally TypeScript because it is easier for me to, I come from a object-oriented world like C#, so it is easier for me to kind of play around, because TypeScript provides me the same type concept, classes, interfaces, public, private methods, all those concepts are given to me by TypeScript. Or if you're coming from plain vanilla JavaScript, right, you can always go and then make use of JavaScript also, so you can do that. So today I'm going to be using TypeScript to actually showcase everything. So what I've done is I'm going to be looking at Ionic framework for the hybrid use case. So this is Ionic framework. So what we will do, I already set up all the Ionic dependencies. You can go to documentation and then they will let you know how to install Ionic. If you see here, it says setup. Nowadays everything is on the command line, so you just have to say npm install -g Ionic and Cordova. Notice Ionic depends on Cordova internally, because the packaging can be done only through Cordova's packaging system. So Ionic just makes use of that and then provides that. So I've already done all those things. So what I can do is I will go to a command prompt, and I hope you're able to see my command prompt. So probably I may have to increase the font. So properties. Okay, so this should be a little better. You should be able to see things clearly now. So let me go back, and this will be Ionic. So here I can just say, as you can see here, they say npm install -g Ionic, and then they say Ionic start some app name, and then v2 is nothing but using the Angular 2. So let's do that. So they say npm Ionic start, and they say some app name. So I will say Ion app 1, and you can actually say blank, or let me see, I'm going to do as is. So this is going to use a tabs, what do you call, a tab structure in the application. So now what it is going to do is it's going ahead and then creating the application. So it's going and then downloading some of the packages that is required by Ionic. Let's give it a couple of minutes. So by that time, let me take a look at any questions that are there. We can't access all native supported API. Well, the question is, we cannot access all native supported API, isn't it? So the thing is, if the SDK allows you, it all depends on the SDK. Whatever SDK you're working against. So we work with the same concept. For the Android, whatever is exposed in Android SDK, yeah, we will expose it to you in the NativeScript. Coming to the iOS, the same case. If the iOS SDK is exposing any native APIs, we will export it to you in the NativeScript. So it all depends on that. Okay, not sure why this is taking so much time. It shouldn't. NPM seems to be slow for me today. Let me show you. Already I have a couple of apps that I had built. So let me see what I have. So I have Ion app 1. So let me go to app 1. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Code as the editor. So I'm using Visual Studio Code. You can use any editor of your choice. So this is the the tabs app, or when you say default, when you go to, how is this different from Cordova or Ionic? So I believe you're talking about NativeScript. So I'm going to go to NativeScript next. I'm showcasing now Ionic, which is a Cordova based it's a Cordova based framework. Ionic framework is nothing but it provides you their own UI framework where they give you certain directives. As you can see on my screen now, there is Ion header, Ion navbar, Ion title, Ion content, and then you put your content inside that, and you use Cordova to build this or package this and then put it onto your device. So that's hybrid mobile application. Ionic is not native mobile app that you get. Ionic is hybrid mobile app, because at the end of the day, whatever you're seeing here is actually rendered on a web view. So that is where the confusion is. People think, oh, Ionic is native app. Nope. Ionic is a hybrid app. It is HTML rendering on a rendering engine. So I hope that is clear. So when you do the whatever I just did, Ionic start an app name, what it does is it goes and then scaffolds a default a default application, and then I get this src folder. Inside that there is an app folder, and then inside this you will see the main.ts. It's using Angular 2 now, and then there's a module where I say my initial entry points is the my app, as you can see here, and then all those things. So where is the app.html? Well, if you see here, there is an Ion nav being kept, and the root page is bound to a property called as root page. So let me take a look at the what is the root page. So currently it has imported the tabs page from this particular folder, pages, tabs, and tabs, and the root page is set to tabs page. So let's take a look at what is a tabs page, right? So if you go to pages, tabs, there is tabs.ts, and what it is doing is it's saying tab 1 root, tab 2 root, tab 3 root, home page, about page, contact page, and here is the home, about, and then all the stuff. So I can go to pages, and if I go to home.html, well, at the end of the day it's just the Ionic's directives here. The home.ts is going to be blank. As you can see, there's a template URL. If I want to run this, all I need to do is I just have to say Ionic serve, and probably I can do an L. So now what this does is it's going to kick off its own simulations environment. It runs a dev server, and then it will simulate it on the dev server. As you can see here, it is now doing a couple of things there. The language that you see in the background is actually TypeScript, because Angular 2 is dependent on TypeScript. So code has been written using a TypeScript. It has to compile the TypeScript to JavaScript, and it will bring up this lab, as they call it. What it is doing is it is showcasing you how does it render on an iOS, how does it render on an Android. So here is where people get confused. Oh, this is a native app. No, this is not. So Ionic does a very, very good job about mimicking the look and feel of the native platform. So on the right hand side is the Android, on the left hand side is the what do you call the iOS. So they look pretty similar, but this is rendering inside a web view, a rendering inside a web browser, right, on the device. That is the difference between Ionic and then this one. So what I'm going to do now is going to simply quickly go to home.ts, and then I'll do something here. I will create a public counter, and this is a number, and I'll set it to 5, and I'll also do get message, and what I will do is return where message, or let me do this, if this dot counter greater than 0, I will do a return or I'll use the latest things that we have that the TypeScript provides. So I can say now this is an interpolation, so I can say this dot counter taps left, So that's what I want to return. Or if the counter else, I want to return I just want to say, like, hooray, you unlocked clicker achievement, right? So that is all I want to do here. So this is my code behind, or whatever we call it, and then I go to the home.html, remove everything, and here I'm going to put a div, probably align it to center, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to say h1, and I will say tap the button, and I will have to do a button, and I think this is so let me keep the button there, and then I will say tap. But what I want is when you click on it, so tap or click, I need to execute a method called as on tap, right? I'll write that particular method in just a moment, and then I can do a label, right? And then here I want to bring in that yeah, I want to bring in that message, right? So I want to go back here, and I'll have to do on tap. So you don't need to put a public or anything. It knows that the methods are all public here. So I can just do this dot counter minus minus. That is all I want to do here on clicking of the tab, right? So if everything worked well, so let's see. Okay, it's gonna be rendering. So there you go. So I don't know if you're able to see this. I'll try to bring in, let me do this. We need BTN. I'm going to make sure the button is coming as a primary button that we have. So typically the buttons, you just say so the button, so let me put a break here so that the label comes down. If you want, I mean, I can just do the H3 or whatever, all those times, right? So the basic button is basically you will need to say button, and then you need to say Ion button. And now when we go back to here, you will see, like, this is coming as a default button of whatever is there. As you can see here, yeah, it's based on the so they typically style it to look like this. So you have tap, I can click on the tap button, and then now it says hooray, you unlock the clicker achievement. I can click on it here, so the right hand side is also but at the end of the day, this is just a hybrid application. It will run fine because there is no graphical thing that we are doing here, or there's no media related stuff or animation related stuff we are doing. So the hybrid mobile applications take a hit when you have too much of graphical things going on, or too much of animations or media related stuff. So if you have a list view, and then you have a lot of items in the list view, you will immediately see that depending on which device you're running it, and then how good the web view is performant on that device, the scrolling will give you a lag of a second, and that is very much evident to the human eyes that, oh, this is very slow to scroll, right? So for the NativeScript, what you can do is you just have to go to NativeScript, and so now you saw what the hybrid was. What I'm going to now do is I'm going to showcase that how to do a native mobile application, but with NativeScript, where you write the code in JavaScript, we will take care of creating the UI as native UI. So installations, we support NativeScript development on Windows, on Mac, on Linux. So if you have it, depending on your system, you can go into the installation instructions here. As you can see, NativeScript development can be done on Mac, can be done on Linux, can be done on Windows. So I am currently today I am on a Windows machine, and on a Windows machine you can only build Android. That's a known truth or known fact, right? You cannot build an iOS on a Windows machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show you this installation instruction. So you need the Node.js on your machine, you need JDK, you need Android SDK, SDK build tools, and then of course you will have to set your Java home and then Android home. Once you have done all those things, the installation of NativeScript is very simple. You just need to say npm install globally NativeScript. So the NativeScript dev stack is available as an npm module, right? So I've already done this. So it is saying do a TNS doctor. So what I can do is I can stop this. I can go back to my, okay, I'm inside my NativeScript now. So I can say TNS hyphen version. So it will say what version of TNS I'm running, or the Telerik native script I'm running. I'm at 2.4.2, and I can do TNS doctor to make sure everything is installed correctly. So TNS doctor is a simple way to make sure that everything is installed on your computer. So as you can see here, it detected that hey, you can develop iOS only on Mac OS, and your components are up to date. No issues were detected. So we just give you a confidence that yeah, everything has been set up clearly. Now you saw me how I created the Ionic, right? So similarly here, you just say TNS create, let's say NSApp1, and then I can just say TSC. So I'm going to showcase it to you with TypeScript as a language, because that's so simple to do with this one. So I'll say TNS create NSApp1, and I'm going to do this. So what it is going to do is create a Telerik NativeScript application which can be run on a device, on an Android or an iOS. Today I have only Windows machine, so I can only run an Android. I'll showcase it to you, the Android one. So here is the emulator that I'm using. Looks like something happened to this guy. Okay, I'll have to bring up the emulator. So let me do that. So notice here the project creation has been done. All it has done is it has gone and then scaffolded the application. I will cd into my NSApp1. So now one thing I forgot to tell you in Ionic or in every platform is like you'll need to say which platform do you want to support your project, your mobile project, right? So in this case, I'm going to say TNS platform add Android. So basically I'm saying, hey, NativeScript app, I will be packaging the application for Android, so I need the Android support for this project. That is all it is saying. So remember, one of the prerequisites was Android SDK. So what this does is it goes and then brings down a couple of core modules for our TNS, and then it knows where the Android SDK is there, Java is there, and then it sets everything up in your project. And now we are done. So I can do, I can open up the project in Visual Studio Code. So here is NSApp1, and notice it's pretty similar structure what you saw in Ionic, right? There is an app folder, and then I have a main page.ts, I have a main page.xml, and then there is an app.ts. So in NativeScript, everything starts from app.ts. So you just go to app.ts, you will notice it says, hey, import this bundle config. There's some helper things that have been written, and then we provide you the whole application as a module, and you can do this app dot something, all those things. So I'm saying app dot start, module name is main page. Notice I have not given any extension to this particular thing. So NativeScript works by convention rather than configuration. Next, it will go and then look for main-page.xml. So that's the front end, right? So let me go ahead and then remove all this. Now we go and then put a lot of documentation. So I'm just going to get this down to, yeah, now this should be easier for you to take a look at it. So what do I have? Well, it's a very simple UI language that we have. It's XML. What you're seeing is XML, but the word page, stack layout, label, button, these are all NativeScript provided controls. So we provide you a root level page node. Basically, it's nothing to say. It is nothing but to say that, hey, this whole app is a page. I mean, this particular screen, this is one screen in the app, right? And then stack layout, what you're seeing here is nothing but a layouting system that we provide you. Stack layout stacks its children's vertically, because I've not said the which way it has to stack it. If I want this to be stacked horizontally, so I just have to say orientation, and I will have to say horizontal. That's it. So now all the children's will be stacked horizontally. By default, it is stacked vertically. So I'm trying to mimic the same thing we did. I have a label, and this is not a HTML label. Let me be upfront, very clear to you. So whatever you're seeing here at runtime will be converted into native component. So Android has a android.widget.label class or whatever they call it. So we will convert this into that, and then button. So this button is not a regular HTML button because there is no web view, there is no browser. This is at runtime. This is going to be the native UI that's going to come up. So we will generate, or we will render the android.widget.button on the screen, right? So that's there, and there's a label, and notice here there's a main page.ts. So this is like the logic where you write for this particular screen. So I'm going to remove a couple of stuff. So let me just quickly get rid of these things. Yeah, so notice here I just have export function navigating to, and I'm saying the current object that's coming in has a is nothing but the page, and I'm setting a page binding context is equal to hello world model. So this hello world model is my business object, but where did I use it? It's here. Every page has its own life cycle. One of the life cycle events is navigating to. When the screen is being navigated to this particular, when the application is navigating, it's doing the navigation to this particular screen, this event is fired, and I'm saying I will handle that event. And what am I doing? Well, I'm just setting the page's binding context to this. So notice here we have this curly syntax, or curly brace syntax, or mustache syntax as we call it. So what is it saying? When this button is tapped, call this particular method, and this method will be available on the binding context, right? So all those things. So when somebody is asking, how do I convert my Cordova to native app? Well, all you need to do is understand what NativeScript provides you, and then slowly create the UI in NativeScript. And if there is a JavaScript code which can be reused from your hybrid to native, you can, but keep in mind, no code which is dependent on DOM will be able to be used inside NativeScript, because in NativeScript there is no DOM. This is pure native screens that we develop to the front end. So let me show you how the model is. So it's a simple class, hello world model. It extends observable. NativeScript will provide you the observable. It's the same side of code, right? So I used the counter, I used a message, and I've set to counter to 42. Instead of that, I'm going to set it to 5. Otherwise, I'll have to click 42 times. And there is an update message being called. And notice here we give you this observable concept where if the message changed, we will be able to notify the change. And on tap, I'm decrementing the counter and then calling update message. All the update message does is it just updates the message. This so and so counter is left, or hooray, you unlock the NativeScript clicker achievement. Now how do I run this, right? So what I can do is, let me see what happened to my, okay, so my emulator just crashed. Okay, let's kill this guy and then we'll start it again. So I hope the conversion part you understood. So you will have to, of course, use NativeScript and then start writing your application. There is no magic wand, or there is no magic button which is like, okay, take a hybrid app and then convert that into NativeScript app. No, if that would have been easier, or it's possible, we would have been happy. But the nature of your apps in hybrid and nature of apps in NativeScript are completely different. So, but it is easier to just go and then do it. I don't know nothing about Android, but I've been doing a lot of Android app development, like creating simple apps, creating small apps as a side projects, all those things. And then I'm so amazed that with NativeScript it's so easy to do it, because I don't have to know anything of Android. all I need to know is NativeScript, I need a list view. So NativeScript provides me the list view. NativeScript, I need a button. NativeScript, I need a label. NativeScript gives me everything. And I just write the same JavaScript code that I know of, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the command prompt here, and then I will say TNS device. It should list the emulator to me, which is on the right hand side. And there you go. So it says there is one emulator there. So I will say TNS run Android hyphen device one. So that means, hey, do the go ahead, take the project, convert that into an Android APK, and then run it on this particular device. And you can see left hand side it is building it. So somebody is asking, what is the difference between NativeScript and React Native? Well, we both do the same stuff. That is, we let you use native JavaScript to create a native mobile application, and the difference is the way we do it. I think React Native needs you to code the style sheet, code the UI. So they use JSX format, right? But somehow I don't feel good about that. Here I have a clean separation. I have a main page.xml where I put only the UI part of the code. And then I have the JavaScript file where I can go and then model it like a class file. And then I'm using TypeScript, as I said. So TypeScript provides me this concept of getters and setters, provides me this concept of extending into a particular base class. So in this case, I wrote a hello world model, but is actually extending my base class, which is observable. And observable makes it possible that if a value is changed, I can go notify somebody who is listening to the value. In this case, that's the label on the UI, and it will automatically go and then repaint the value, right? That's what it is all about. So I like our way because there's a clean separation. I don't know if React Native has gone ahead and done something new, because the last time that I worked, probably a year ago or whatever, was where I need to write the JSX inside the JavaScript. The style sheet had to be written inside the JavaScript. So they have a different syntax, and as a programmer, as a developer, I found it little hard to follow it. But here I know this, XML means only UI. The TS means only JavaScript. There's no mix and match here. Are you guys able to hear me? Somebody said connection lost, so I hope you guys are able to hear me. Okay, somebody said connection lost. I kind of was scared. Okay, there you go. So the app has been deployed, and notice here what you're seeing here on the right hand side is a native Android application. This is not a hybrid. This is not a browser. This is not an HTML, right? But it will do the same stuff. I can do this. 3, 2, 1. Hooray! You unlock the NativeScript clicker achievement, right? So we are almost at the 1 hour mark. What we wanted to showcase was some of these things that you can use. So let me quickly show you a couple of things that you can do with a NativeScript. Let's say you want to, I'm going to bring in probably let me remove a couple of things. Just give me a second. I'll show you how easy it is to create some of the UI that we provide. So for example, what can I show you guys? Let me show you a segmented bar, or yeah, so the segmented bar. I'm going to quickly show you our tab view. So let's quickly see how to create a tab view, right? It's a common practice in most of this. You put a tabs, and then different tabs show you different codes and all those things. So let me quickly show you that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just comment out this stack layout here, and I will just put a tab view. So notice here what it is doing. It is basically doing, there's a tab view, and then tab view has items, and in the tab views items, what I've created is I have created one item, and it has a view, and then view has just a label. So you can create, you can keep anything that you want. I will also go ahead and then do a third item so that it fills up the screen very nicely. So I can do tab 3, and label in tab 3. That's it. So now I can do this one. So now if you're thinking like, oh, we'll have to recreate the whole application again, or rebuild the application again. No, we have this concept of live sync. So what I will do is I will do live sync, TNS live sync, Android hyphen device 1, and I will say watch, meaning watch for any changes and then sync it directly with the application. So I can do this. So now what it is going to do is it knows that there's already a application in the device, so he's going to pick up only the changes. Notice here it says your application will be deployed, and it's going to pick up the changes, and then he will push that changes to transferring the project file. So it is not doing the complete APK build, but rather it is just doing the small changes. Notice now I have tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So this is what you get in I don't know how the animation is doing for you guys, but I'm running inside an emulator, but it is so fast. That's because it is native, UI there. There's nothing HTML, or there's nothing which is a rendering engine coming into picture there, right? So this is what we give you in terms of this, and we can also do a segmented bar. So what I will do is I'll copy the segmented bar thing, and I'll put it inside probably tab 1. Instead of the label, what we will do is we will keep the segmented bar, right? And notice here everything is very simple syntax, right? Segmented bar item, segmented bar item, title item 1. That's it. It's very explanatory. We have used how many tabs we can add into this? Well, it depends on you. It all depends on the guidelines that Android provides, and typically I think it's 3 or 4 is or 5 is assumed good. If you have more than 5, you will have to rethink your navigation. Well, there you go. I just have to press save, and then now I have, notice this is a segmented bar. This is tab 2, this is tab 1, segmented bar. I'm not doing anything except saving the file. That's because our command line, it is watching for the file changes, and then it just picks up the change and then pushes the code into this one. So let me quickly show it to you. I'm going to keep this guy here, and I'm going to have this one here. So now I don't like this action bar which is there on the top, coming in a gray color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a material palette, and let me go to that site, and I'll pick up a particular color. So as you can see here, this is the material palette. So let's see, I want to pick up the pink one, and I will take this primary color. It is copied onto my clipboard. Now so it is copied onto my clipboard. Sorry about that, there was a flicker. So I copied into my clipboard, and now what I'm going to do is app.css, keep this guy on the right one, and then I'll go to app.css. And in our NativeScript world, all you can do is you can just go ahead and then say that, hey, there is an action bar, and I want to style that action bar. But how? I want the background color to be this, and then I will say color should be white. All right, and then I'm going to just click on save now, and then right hand side you will see the whatever color coming up. So there you go. So we have that color coming up. Right now the action bar has been styled to use a the particular material color, right? Like this, it is very easy to start with the simple stuff, and then start going and then creating your UIs depending on how your UI is, and you start getting the native application. This is not hybrid, this is not PhoneGap, this is not Cordova, this is not HTML. This is a pure Android UI that I'm showcasing it to you. Well, in this 1 hour we can just talk about certain things, but what we will do is we'll start writing or you can go to nativescript.org, and then we have a bunch of resources available here. This was just a kind of getting started for you. We also have a guide. If you go to, let me bring up that site. If you go to hybrid2native.com, you will pretty much get a fantastic some of the tips and tricks on basically the upgrading hybrid apps to native. So what is the technology overview, NativeScript and Ionic, project structure, differences in the frameworks, comparing components, navigating between the pages, exploring list components, pushing the limits with animations. Yeah, let me do that animation. This is pretty interesting to showcase it to you. I don't know how the GoToMeeting will showcase, but let me do that. So where is that? Yeah, so this is all it takes to animate a button. So I'm going to copy this pin CSS. I'm going to put this guy here. So this is the spin CSS, and let me have this guy as is here. So I'm going to go to tab 2 or maybe tab 1, and in the tab 1 I'm going to remove the segmented bar, and I'm going to keep the NS button spinning button. And instead of tab, what I will do is I'll say class is equal to spin, right? I'm going to save everything, and we should see a button spinning. There we go. So I did not give, I don't know how the animation is being done in the GoToMeeting, but let me show you that. Yeah, it's already done. So I will have to okay, there we go. It came back again. So that is as easy as it can get to do a spinning button or animation. We have a very dedicated cross-platform dedicated cross-platform spinning API also available, and then you can pretty much play around with it and then go ahead and then take a look at it. So this is the I'm going when I write the recap blog post, I will put this particular link. It's a very fantastic content that we have created, and then what you can do is you can go to nativescript.org, and in the nativescript.org, if you go to the root menu items, there is a resources. So just go to resources. Sorry about that. That's not what I meant to click. Let's go to resources. So here on the right hand side, as you can see, there are different things: getting started, build an app tutorials, training, presentation slides, books, sample apps, code examples, plugins, tools and IDs, official NativeScript resources. You will be able to get everything that you want to know about NativeScript. If you need more information, you can always write back to me. So let me just show you my, that's my coordinates. You can tweet, kind of tweet to me, or you can write to me. This was our just a simple effort to actually bring you to NativeScript, make you understand what NativeScript is, how you can actually go the route of NativeScript, all those things. I hope this 1 hour gave you an idea of what NativeScript is, and then you're now ready to kind of do a evaluation, or take a application, try to build it using NativeScript. If you need help in that, we will be able to help you out. At this point of time, I'm going to close down the webinar, or stop the recording of the webinar, and then get into the Q&A. Otherwise, thank you very much for being with us today, and then spending an hour with us, and then hope we gave you some new things to learn and play around, and we look forward to your presence in a future webinar too.